in Dubai, we're quite lucky. We have a beautiful track, the Dubai Autodrome. It's in the city. Yeah. So you literally...
It doesn't take that long to get there either. And
not at all. And you got 6 configurations of tracks. So I always try and push the guys that buy the bikes, the youngsters and the non-youngsters, when they buy super bikes, come to the track, come.
Because you're teaching now as well, right?
Yes, I'm teaching, I'm coaching. I got an FIM license and I can coach anyone. So I do a lot of coaching actually on the track. And we have 6 different configurations of tracks. For coaching, we use the smaller ones because it's easy and a lot of little corners. So I always try and push the guys that if you buy that kind of motorcycle, come to the track. You'll have so much fun because it's a safe place where you can go crazy with your bike. You got full leathers on. You got full safety packs on the bikes. That's where you actually should be with those kind of bikes, not on the roads being crazy. However, we've all gone through that. But that's why I say we're lucky in Dubai, because we have a track, it's like 10 k's away from here. We can go have some fun, and everyone that buys that kind of bike should try it once. It's really fun. It's a lot of fun.
Guys, welcome to another episode. We have Saska Totaro in the house. Saska, let me tell you something. We'll introduce properly and tell everyone that you're a ninja on a bike and and everything about a speed demon and all that stuff. But I want to tell you something that happened the other day.
Yeah,
I've been with my wife for 8.5 years now. 9 years.
Yeah.
In that whole time, argued once. Okay. I hung out with you for 3 hours the other day. Since then, 4 arguments. 4 arguments in my household that were never there before. Can you guess why that is?
Yeah, I know.
Tell me why.
Motorcycles.
Right? She's not having it. So I thought I'd be smart and slowly kind of drip feed it in.
Yeah.
And she knew, because she saw my story with you. She knew exactly what I was doing. Like there was no, I thought I was being smart. She knew exactly what I was doing. She was like, let me just stop you there. No. You're not riding bikes. And we spoke about this when we were in the warehouse.
Yeah.
If you're not a rider, you don't know.
Yes.
It's like an MMA fighter, right? Like from the outside, you're like, that's so dangerous. But from inside, every second to them is pause. They know what's going on. They know what's coming next. So I can't possibly tell her it's okay. Like I know what I'm doing. Like I'm not gonna die. I'm not gonna, because in her mind, I'm gonna wheelie out the house and die as soon as I get a bike, right?
Yes, it makes it worse if you say you're gonna be okay.
Right? It just doesn't work.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, let's talk about. I just wanted to get that out of the way. And also, if you were wondering why I'm dressed like an 80s drug dealer in Miami,
you look cool,
short answer. There's no short answer for it, but I thought I'd change up the look and get a shirt on for this episode.
You look cool, man.
You got an amazing CV when it comes to racing.
Thank you.
Let's talk about how, again, we're going to revamp that conversation that we had because there was some gold in there. That was amazing. Let's talk about how you first got interested into motorcycling and what was your path to becoming a professional racer?
Yeah. So, I literally had the passion of motorcycles since I was a kid. And it was very hard to get into it at the time because I had my dad was not really interested, and my mother, she was like your wife. No way. So it was like it was quite hard for me to get into motorcycles. So what I used to do is when I was really young, I used to just see motorcycle, moto like that, that type of person, that type of kid. And then later on, I just started, like going to shops where I used to see a motorcycle. I grew, so my first love of motorcycles really came into play when I in the 80s, because I'm a 70s person. So
late 70s.
Yeah. So that's when I started liking taking like love towards the motorcycles, mainly motocross bikes. So it was all motocross when I was younger. Then later on, I got to experience the first motocross racing I went to these guys from my hometown, and I followed them, and they took me with them because they used to see me every morning sitting in front of their shop looking through the window
glass,
at these bikes, and they thought, no, let this kid come in, and then check the bikes out, because they probably thought I was crazy, just standing there looking at their bikes. So that's when it started.
How old then?
I was about 11, 12.
And this is South Africa or Italy?
It was actually in Italy. In Italy first, and then straight after that South Africa, because I've been up and down. I've lived half my life in South Africa in general, mainly South Africa and Italy. So it was a different times of my life that I've been in Africa and Italy. So yes, it was in Italy first, and when we did move to South Africa, well, actually Botswana first. That's when I started riding at the back of a friend that had a CR80,
Nice.
and then. But he always wanted me to ride because he wasn't such a good rider. So I was always riding the bike, and we'd be like little hooligans around Botswana. But I mean, in the Botswana in those days, there was nothing around. So it was just bush land.
You weren't causing much trouble.
No, not at all. Not at all. That's why my dad and my mom would let me do it, because they just, they knew that I was safe there. There was no hazards around. So it was good. And then later on, I eventually got myself a bigger bike, a 125, and we started this Enduro series. It was quite small at the time in Botswana, Enduro series. So I started with the first race. I got a first place straight away. It was quite strange because we used to race in those days. I had normal shoes on, and it's normally it's safety first on motorcycles, but back in those days you would do anything to race, so you would just wear anything to go and race. Anyway, we started then, and then we just carried on through the years. Then I moved to South Africa in the early 90s, and I was lucky enough to have in class a friend that was sponsored by Castrol Honda team. So he was like an official motocross, supercross rider. So he was really, really good. And 2 years later, he won the South African Championship. Wow. And with him and a friend, they used to take me around with them to go ride off-road bikes. And I was lucky enough to also do supercross in Sun City at the time. It was, if I'm not mistaken, 1991. We went there, and they just gave me one of their bikes. They used to have 3 bikes each, sponsored by Castrol. So they said, just take one and come with us. And we used to just go and practice on this beautiful indoor Super Bowl supercross track. It was quite amazing. And then after I moved back to Italy, so I left the motocross bikes, and I went back to Italy. I did the army, and I remember very well one day when I was, when you get the leave from the army in the evening, you can go walk around after 6 o'clock. I was walking around the city, and I noticed this bike, and I was like, well, what is this thing? It was like a dark, mean-looking, badass bike, at the time for me.
It wasn't a Vespa, which is usually in Italy. You see a little sandwich basket with some cheese inside it on the front of it while you're going.
Yeah. And it was actually a Monster 600 Ducati. And I had tried, I did ride a couple of other bikes before that, road bikes, but I never got into them. However, it was for me, it was like a game changer. I saw this bike, I thought, wow, this is a nice bike. And I would have never thought to buy a bike to go riding on the road at the time. But literally, I finished the army, and I managed to go and get myself one of these Monster Ducatis, and that's how it started, road riding. So I used to actually meet up with all my friends. My friends at the time in the mid 90s, they all had CBR 600 Fs, so everyone had those racing bikes, and I was the only one with this naked bike that looked amazing, but it only had 53 horsepower. So when we used to take the rides and go and have some fun around Italy, it was always for me it was a disaster, because I had to drive like a maniac to actually stay with these guys.
To keep up with them,
Yes, exactly. So when we used to get to the twisties and the mountains, I used to love it. I used to ride like a hooligan. But when we got to the straights, obviously, so that's where it actually all started. And the one day, my uncle that was in the army at the time, he actually saw me riding past with some friends, because Italy, where we stay, it was Pisa. It's a city, it's a smaller city. So he saw me riding, and he went to my dad and he said, listen, this guy is he shouldn't be on the road like that, driving like that, riding like that. So he literally told my dad, look, don't worry, I'll take care of him, because he was in the army, paratroopers. So he used to look after, he used to really roast people in the army. So he got me to go with him once in Montecatini Terme, this other city in between Florence and Pisa. And with my monster, he said, yeah, come see me there. We'll go look at some bikes and that. So I knew there was something going on. Anyway, we get to this beautiful dealership, and it was a multi-brand dealership. And, I went in there, and immediately the sales guy, the owner, he came to me and he goes, oh, you Sasha, that was nephew. And, come and look at the bikes, because there's a nice bikes around here. Take a look. And I was walking around, and my dream was always at that time of my life, was always a Ducati, a red Ducati. For me, it was like the Ferrari, right? Yeah, exactly. Although they're owned by Lamborghini, by Lamborghini, they're under the VW group, it still was a Ferrari for me. And I noticed this Ducati, the 748 SP at the time. It was yellow though, and I was like, oh my God, it's a beautiful bike, I love it, but it's yellow. However, I just thought it was just something very special. It had a single seater. And it was just, I was just going around it and looking at it. For me, it was like the ultimate bike. And the guy, the great sales guy, he says, look, take it for a spin. And I said, yeah, okay. He says, no, but leave yours here. And I said, what do you mean? He's take it for the whole weekend. So I literally took the bike. I left the dealership, and a couple of my friends had come along, to meet us there, to meet me there. And that was it. And I never went back to get the other bike. That was it. So that's how it started. And with that bike, I got to go on the track the first time, and I absolutely loved it. I remember I didn't even have knee sliders, because in those days there were not so many knee sliders around. So it was just, like I thought, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to be on the racetrack, because you could just be in a beautiful place where you don't have to worry about cops, you don't have to worry about like dangers. So that was it. And I literally was lucky enough, my father sponsored a little bit of my racing, plus I started working for that same dealership, and I managed to start racing. And I was in a big team. Kawasaki was my first race bike. I was racing. They gave me a Ninja 900. Nice. And the two other guys that were racing were two professional. One was just won the mini GP championship in Italy. So his name is Nicola Canepa. A lot of the riders in Superbikes will know him, because he's won a world title super stock with Ducati and all that. And now he's a top Yamaha rider for endurance. So anyway, he was a kid. He was like 11 years old at the time. And the other guy was also an Italian champion that were riding the 600s. So it's funny, because I'll tell you the story. It's the first time I actually went with a proper race bike, because I was older. I was already 26, 27. The guy, the owner, the team manager said, you know what, you're going to ride a 900. These guys will ride 600s. So I thought, okay, cool, So off we go to the south of Italy. There's a little track where a lot of people don't know about it. It's a tiny track that it's open all year. It's near Bari in Puglia. And a lot of people do testing there in winter, because it's the only place that gets a bit hotter sometimes. So off we go. We go down there. And the next morning, I wake up, go to the pits, and I found this beautiful Ninja 900 ZX9R. For me, it was like a dream. I mean, I remember it had these black fairings, all for racing fairings. It was very raw looking. And I thought, my God, this is amazing, And the other two guys, though, I was watching the other two guys, because they were so much more ready than I was. They were like putting their leathers on and checking the handlebars and everything. And I was like, what the hell are they doing?
You were still in Botswana. You were like, I've got my trainers on. I don't understand what's going on. Exactly. What are they waiting for? I'm ready to go. I have a wife beater and trainers. I'm ready to go.
Exactly. So literally what I did is, they just said, no, come sit on the bike, check if everything's okay. And I sat on the bike, and it was like, yeah, well, you feel good and everything. I said, I feel great. The bike feels great. They would go, no, but the measurements of, I was like, no, everything's fine like that. So I wasn't really paying attention to all the things they were telling me.
You were just happy to be on it. So you weren't thinking about.
That was like the one of the best moments.
Whatever. You're like, look, I'll take it. Whatever. It's got a clutch, it's got an accelerator. I'm good.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And I'm sure you know also, because we were talking about this the last time. I mean, just the smell of the petrol and the oils and the two-stroke oil.
I love that.
Because there was a lot of two-stroke bikes trying. It was just something else. It was amazing. And but my first ever, so I get on the bike. They say to me, okay, go out. It's very cold. I remember it was 2 degrees outside. It was quite cold actually that day. And they said to me, you got brand new tires, just go in. And I was watching the other 2 guys already riding. They were already out and about. So I took my time. They said, when you go in, you got to ride at least 5-6 laps to warm up the tires nicely, because it's too cold and the tire is really not in good condition. So they said, take it easy, I said, yeah, sure, no problem. I get on the bike, so I leave the pits, and they told me, remember, new tires. I said, yeah, sure, no problem. So I got out the pits. Literally, I just accelerated slightly on this bike. It was a 900 at the time, just slightly. Maybe I didn't realize how fast it was going. I literally got out the pits, did 50 meters, first corner I turned, and I was on the ground.
No way.
So I was like, oh my God, what an idiot.
They're never going to put me back on the shit.
No,
Like,
it was like the worst feeling ever. And so I quickly got up, and my thumb was like the size of a tennis ball. So I just quickly got up, I pretended nothing happened. I go back to the pits, and the one guy just went off at me. He said, what the hell are you doing? Can you ride this and that? Anyway, so that was my first track experience with a serious racing bike. And then it all started from there. We literally, I asked them eventually I was falling all the time because I wasn't used to a big bike like that. And also the chassis on this ZX9, later on I understood it was, in those days there were like the Yamahas and the Suzukis were the better bikes, with the better bikes with the better chassis. So I had to literally ask them if I could downgrade to the 600s, and immediately when we went to the Mugello round to practice, I went 3 seconds a lap faster with the 600, having less power, because it was just so much more easy to handle. And that's when it all started, actually.
How embarrassing was that first?
No, my God.
Because I remember the same time. So like we said, I started on literally a Cub 90, then I got my Gilera runner, which we used to go around maybe, and you can imagine this is central London, and there's no less than 25 of us on these Dyson hairdryer sounding things that literally down the street. So I remember the first time my friend had an R1, and when you're riding mopeds, it's completely different.
Yeah.
So I knew how to ride, I knew how to do clutching, I knew how to change gears, everything was fine. And I remember it was a brand new R1. And obviously, the first thing that you think when you ride a bike is, I don't want to fall, especially if it's someone else's bike. So I literally drove straight to the end of the road and tried to just do a U-turn. But U-turning on a ped or on a thingy, like the turning circle on a race bike is completely different. Yeah. You're not just going like this, like you are. I literally turned to the side and like it just went like that. And I remember the first thing I did is I looked up at his face to see if I could quickly pull the bike up, and he didn't notice, but he saw it, and I could just see when the guy had just instant regret of, I should never have let you talk me into riding that bike. And I felt so bad about it. Like so bad.
It happens often. Well, it happened to me a few times actually. So
right?
Yeah.
What's the most challenging track that you've ever raced on?
Definitely Mugello. Mugello is my favorite track, with a couple of others, but Mugello, for me, it's in Tuscany, so it's part of where I was born. But Mugello is like one of the best, the most beautiful tracks in the world. It's any rider will tell you. The MotoGP riders will also tell you. It's like 6 kilometer track, plus minus. It's all up and down in the middle of these beautiful Tuscan hills. It's like the temple, the temple of racing. When you get there, I remember I was still with the Monster 600 when we actually went to Mugello just to see one of these MotoGP races. At the time, it was the GP 500s and 250s and 125s. And literally coming up the beautiful roads to arrive there, like all through the hills. And then all of a sudden, you literally go past Barberina sul Mugello. That's a little village before the actual track. And you go down this hill and up. And once you get up the hill, it opens up under your eyes. And it's a massive place on the left-hand side. You just see this huge track. And it's just to die for people that love motorbikes. I mean, that's like, wow, what the hell is this? And I'll never forget that while you're going over the hill, you see on the left, there's a corner called Arrabbiata Due. And that's like, it's in English, it's translated to...
the two Arabs.
Yeah, it sounds like Arab, but it's Arrabbiata because it means angry too.
Yeah.
And when you actually ride there,
Arabs, it's the same thing. Arabs are angry, bro. It's the same thing, bro.
You're right.
You
You're
literally
right.
didn't change
I remember
it.
this. I told you about it. It's definitely. It's just crazy. This corner. You cannot see it when you ride it. You're coming from Arrabbiata 1, and then you go up the hill and turn right. It's blind corner, but there's. I mean, I was lucky enough to see some. Like top riders in 500s, and one of them was Valentino Rossi. He was like an idol for me in those days, and he used to spin the back wheel fuming past Arrabbiata 2. He was the only one you could actually see with your own eyes that even if you didn't understand anything about motorcycles in those days, and those were the early 2000s. I mean, that's when before he changed the motor to 4-stroke bikes. I mean, you could just see this guy. Everyone would come past, bah, bah, and then he would just come past like all sideways, looking around. It was just crazy, man.
Val Rossi was something special, man.
Yeah, he was very
different.
special.
Like we spoke about my first bike, the Aprilia 125
Yeah,
Aprilia.
yeah.
Now we're ripping Aprilia
with
the Val Rossi colors. And I literally remember I had 2 helmets. One of them was the silver sun and moon, and the other one was like a fluorescent yellow, like you know, the highlighter pen color. It was actually one of my very close friends I grew up with. His uncle was bike crazy, and he used to take me on the back of the bike in Cumbria. I don't know if you know the Lake District,
no.
but it's a place. It's in England, but it's not in London. It's like towards the north.
Yes,
those windy roads and stuff. And that was the only time I felt like I was gonna die. But he loved that helmet so much. He got buried with that helmet.
Okay.
Like I gave it to him, and he got buried with it. Like so, like that. I just remember Val Rossi. There was just something different. Even I mean, everyone was colorful with their bikes and stuff, but he had it's like he had that kind of more fashionable look than everyone else at the time, right?
For sure.
Like that Sun and Moon, where did that come from? Was that a design that he had anything to do with, or was it just?
Yeah, you know, I've seen his stories so many times, but yeah, it was like a signature helmet from him. You know, the sun on the one side, the moon on the other. But he was actually the first rider in the MotoGP that started doing all these gigs. You know, that's why everyone went crazy for him. He was just, I mean, I remember, if I'm not mistaken, his first gig was when they said to him, because they said, you know, if I win the championship or if I win all the races, what should I do? He was discussing with his friends, and he decided to just bring this, like this friend of his said, you know, at the bar in Italy, you meet up and there's all kinds of people, crazy people there. And the one guy said, no, I know what you need to do. You know, you need to bring this to the track. And he gave him like one of those inflated dolls. And he got that.
Blow up dolls.
And and another friend of his wrote on it. And at the time, Max Biaggi was in 250, and he was like the champion of, you know, he had won already like 3 titles, and he won his 4th that year. The Valentino Rossi was the 125. So he literally someone had written Claudia Schiffer on the actual doll, because Claudia Schiffer at the time was seeing Biaggi. So that became a massive thing for the media, and that's where it became a rivalry between Rossi and Biaggi.
He was the original motorcycle troll. He was trolling from back then.
Exactly. So he was the first one that used to do all these things, and the super colorful, you know, helmets and all that. And that's the yellow is his signature.
Can we still get them? Those Sun and Moon helmets?
Yeah, of course you can. Yeah, definitely.
So I'll get one with my Aprilia.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. The AGV actually still makes the Valentino replica, because he's had so many through the years. It was like he just carried on all his life with all these different helmets, especially when he used to go to the GPs in Italy and Misano and Mugello. He used to always have the Misano special helmet and the Mugello special helmet. So yeah, you can still get them. Yes, definitely. Yeah.
I remember all the stuff. I remember I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but the Dainese gloves.
Oh yes,
I used to wear, Dainese and the jackets and all that stuff. And we used to talk about how stupid I was when I was riding, because I would literally be flying down the M4, literally in a vest like this, shorts and some Adidas Stanleys. And I remember one day my friend was like, nah mate, you can't do that. Like you like, he used to literally look like he was a stormtrooper when he used to ride his bike. He would have full like everything, like you couldn't see his skin anywhere, like literally. And he was like, look, you can't do that. You just can't do it. And then I was like, yeah, maybe you're right, because if you do take a fall, it's not even just about the fall, it's about you fillet your skin literally off if you even if it's not that fast. Do you know what I mean? So it's like not worth it. So make sure we get a jacket and a nice helmet with my yellow Aprilia. And I've gone for yellow, by the way.
Yeah,
because it's a Jibber with Jabber colors, right? So we have to do that. So
we have one.
I saw it. I know you bloody have one. That's what messed me up. Okay, so is there any particular race that you were doing?
Yes.
And I know that you know, every competitor is confident in their skills or whatever, but is there any race that you did where you were like, where you noticed, oh shit, I'm good? Like, is there any specific one where you were like, no, actually I can be champion?
Yeah.
I know everyone says it and everyone's gonna everyone looks for it, but sometimes there's something that you do where you go, oh, I am better than the others.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you 2 different times in my life when I thought of something like that, you know. So the first time was on I think it was my 3rd race in Italy with a Kawasaki. So in those days, you know, there's so many followers for motorcycle. The motorcycle MotoGP was just growing substantially. The thing is that there were not so many people teaching, schools, coaching. There was not many of those. And if you were racing, there was no one who was going to give you some help. There's no way. Especially in Italy, it's super competitive. So I remember, and the 3rd race that we had, it was in a smaller track where I used to go and where I went the first time to ride with the 748. It was a smaller track called Varano de Melegari, and it was in Parma, near Parma. And when we went to race there, I realized we're just riding and doing the practice, and all of a sudden I went back to the pits, and I didn't know in those days, you know, you don't really have all the technology that they had nowadays. So I got back to the pits and I thought, yeah, I went quite well, you know, I wasn't sure of it. And the guys were all clapping, going, oh, well done, well done. So I was literally...
They were only clapping because you didn't drop the bike. That's why they were clapping. They're like, well done, you made it around once, well done. You didn't scratch your new bike today.
Well, to tell you the truth, I promise you, to tell you the truth, if I tell you all the times I fell off like I did with the other bike, there's so many of those, I can tell you. So they were all like clapping because I did a 7th place on my 3rd race and on the grid for the race. Then the race was a disaster, but I realized that, you know, I have the potential. I mean, I was 27 at the time. I'm racing against kids that were like 15, 16, 17, all below 20. And yeah, there were a couple of veterans at the time. We called them veterans after 20, but I was the oldest. So I realized that I do have some skills, and, you know, not knowing, you know, just getting on the bike, and I can really do well. And that's the one at the time. But to tell you the truth, only later on in my life, like after, you know, after 2010, when I raced actually here in Bahrain, I raced the BSBK. And in Italy, just to go back to Italy quickly, I never got a podium. I was in the top 10 at the end of the year, in the top 10. And, you know, so I knew that I could do better. But, you know, the problem is that in those days, like now, you had to really have a lot of backup behind you and really have a good bike, a good team and that, because that's the main problem nowadays when it comes to racing. If you don't have the backup and the good team behind you, it's very hard to actually carry on racing. So anyway, in going back to the BSBK in Bahrain, when I first moved to Dubai, where there was this single make series in Bahrain, and with the 899 Panigales Ducatis, all the bikes were same. So no one could have an advantage with the bike, and it was a great championship. I raced 4 rounds, and in those 4 rounds there was 2 races per round. And in the 3 races that I did, I always used to come fourth. There was no way, even if I'd start behind, I would still catch up to the 4th. And I could see the first 3 guys always there. And that day my mindset actually changed, and I said to myself, you know, I cannot just arrive 4th all the bloody time. And come on, you know, what's going on? I can stay with the guys the first few laps.
Where's the block?
And what's later. Yeah. So what happened is, on the last race of the season, the last round of the season, I said, I either get on the podium or really maybe it's time for me to stop, because, I mean, I was already over 30 and I thought, you know, you don't want to go. So what I did is I concentrated so much on the actual start and trying to stay with these guys, you know, in the front. And eventually it all happened. But I pushed myself over. In Italy, we call it the wall. You know, when you reach that wall, if you want to go over that wall, you're going to have to do something that you don't feel comfortable. You know, you're going to have to try and do something that the others are doing and you're not doing. And once I went over that wall in the race, I realized I got the 3rd place in both races. And since then, I never got off the podium.
Nice.
So it's just a mindset. For me, it was mainly, you know, in the way you prepare yourself for the race and your mindset. If your mindset is right, Also probably because I was a little bit older and I was more calculating the race in a different way. It actually got me to just go and race and win some championships in the UAE actually. Yeah,
that
so it was amazing.
Yeah, you were saying like, because you notice that even like now when I think, so I used to do inline skating.
Yeah.
Well, let me change that. I used to do street skating. Inline skating is what you do with body shorts on and hot pants and stuff. But I used to compete half pipes, vert ramps. I used to be sponsored by, like literally short of going to the X Games. That's how good I was. And I went back to a couple of the places, the skate parks and stuff. And I was like, I would never in my wildest dreams be as risky as I was when I was young. It was caution to the wind. I'd go down a vert ramp off a ramp, try and do a backward somersault and not even wearing a helmet. Do you know what I mean? And there was no thinking about it. I wasn't worried or whatever. Now, when I get off this couch, I'm going to make sure I use both my hands to get up, because it's just it's not the same. So you can understand why these young riders, they don't have the same. I'm not married. I've got a house, I've got kids, there's so many responsibilities that I can't go back into work with a broken arm and say, hey, buy a motorbike. By the way, this is what happened to me on a motorbike. Do you know what I mean? So you can understand that. So I'm quite interested in how you kind of deal with that mentally. Is there any kind of rituals that you do before a race? And is there, when it comes to motorbike, because Formula One, bobsled, all that kind of stuff, you have that.
Yes.
Turn practicing that. Do you have any like random knee movements that you ever leading up to a race? You're just talking to someone, and all of a sudden you do that. You're like, oh, sorry, it's the third turn on the track. I'm just getting used to it.
No, look, it's not really a ritual. There are people that do these kinds of rituals, and that every rider has. If you've ridden bikes before, and I'm sure if you've done that kind of level of skating, like skating. And Formula One and all that, everyone knows that feeling. We always talk about that feeling. That's so literally before the race, to prepare myself, I normally, I'm very, I relax, because the more relaxed you are, the better it is for riding. Because you see, at the beginning, I was always, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, I was so like angry, and I wanted to get there, and that doesn't really help when you're riding a motorcycle. So the more relaxed you are, and the more gentle you are with the motorcycles, the faster you go. This is with track riding, and my way of concentrating myself to reach the objective of coming on the podium or being first. That's what I wanted, and I reached that goal. Is to just I always think of what I'm going to do, and like set myself. Like just be relaxed and concentrated on the start, the main, because the start is like the most important part of the race, and just stay focused. And I think that for me, when I was younger, I could not focus as well as I do now. I would think of the people out and all the people watching and all that. With the age, I forget about that. So 10 minutes before the race, I normally just relax. I put the earplugs on, and I tell everyone, sorry, but I cannot talk right now, and I just go in my own zone. I zone out and just focus on my objective, and that's getting a good start, pulling away, or trying to stay with the guy if I know he's a little bit faster than me. And I think that's my secret that I've got now, being an older veteran rider and winning races, because I can really concentrate much better than what I used to when I was younger. But physically, obviously, it's like one of those, the knee out, the guys are hopping on the saddle one side to the other. I'm like,
you're like going to the start to get on your bike like 10 minutes before, just
exactly.
You get on there, everyone just comes and jumps on you.
Yeah,
just be
for
like,
sure, yes.
So hold my aloe vera water and my cream and all that stuff.
The warm-up lap, you take it easy, you let all the other guys stop first, then you arrive last, and you just relax for a few seconds before you actually take away. But so that's literally the way I do it, and I try and train harder. There's some years that I've trained harder than other times, but the training part is really important nowadays, especially now. You have the bikes are so much faster. The tires are so much more grippy and everything. So you need to really be prepared physically, and I haven't this year, but I did halfway through the year due to other reasons. But I still enjoy myself, but I try and push myself every year. I've always got something to learn, and you know, you just focus on what your objective is. That at the end of the day, you know.
Is testosterone and these things, are they banned in these races?
Of course, yes. You have to, if when you apply for international license, like I did last year and the year before, because I did go and race some endurance races overseas. You have to do anti-doping tests. And they can test you anytime. So once you get the license, they can test you anytime. They can obviously at national level they don't do that too much, but of course, yes, you have to just be careful, because nowadays after I did this anti-doping test, it's crazy how many supplements that you take normally when you go to gym and that like contain these little things. I don't even know all of them because there's so many. But and then even some of them say, no, you know, anti-doping free, but you got to be really careful, because when you do these tests on anti-doping, it's just crazy how much the amount of things are in the supplements, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know, but at our age, a bit of TRT, a bit of HRT would go a long way.
A nice carnitine, or a bit of creatine, it's good.
A long way. Just like one jab of testosterone a week, you know, it will just keep us. It's not even giving us an advantage. It's just stopping us from falling apart, basically, at this age. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right.
So it would literally like make the knees a bit better.
Definitely.
Do you know one thing is interesting? There's a company called I think they're called Tincture Mushrooms.
Okay.
They're an Australian company, and they have a lot of lion's mane mushroom extracts and all these things that apparently are all legal in that. But your focus, they make you so focused, and they help you with so many things. I'm gonna get some. I'm gonna give you some. Check them out first. I don't want any you calling me up saying, hey, that shit that you gave me
just make sure they're not magic.
No, they're not magic. I can't speak for them yet. I haven't tried them yet. But if I do call you and tell you I'm on a cloud, then you know that they don't work. But I think that kind of stuff can help us a lot at our age. Like kind of you know, with that focus and that stuff. And it's weird, because I've started to realize that I kind of forget a couple of things, and I'm like, I'll forget something that happened 3 weeks ago, but remember someone who owes me money from when I was 15.
Oh, wow.
Do you know what I mean? So I'm starting to think, is it selective memory that I just realized that's not really that important to me? Important that my wife said it and she wanted it to be important, but like one of those things. So maybe I'm still okay, kind of thing. Let's talk about Aprilia.
Yeah, Aprilia. Yes.
And why you put me in that position the other day, bro.
No, that's, you know,
such a nice bike. Nice bikes in general.
Yeah. Aprilia are beautiful bikes. I mean, you know, in Italy, I'm Italian, and I could consider myself also half South African, because I've lived half my life in Africa. So Aprilia is amazing bikes. I mean, I remember when we were like teenagers, in those days, there was no Ducati. In the 80s, the Ducatis was almost inexistent, because it was mainly Aprilia and Cagiva. Cagiva was the one
City.
That actually, the Cagiva was the bike that later on Ducati and Imbia Agusta were you know, like, they came out a bit later. Well, Ducati always existed.
But is that because Ducati was seen as a luxury brand? Or,
no.
Kind of, right?
Yeah, it is. But it was, I hope I don't get this wrong, but Cagiva actually was racing with some Ducati engines. And I know that Imbia Agusta, the Castiglioni brothers, were also together with Tamburini. They were like involved in Cagiva. And then later on, one became Imbia Agusta, the other one came the Ducati. So Ducati in the 80s was not so great. You know, they've had it up and downs. However, Imbia Agusta worse. But Imbia Agusta is always considered motorcycle art, because their bikes are amazing, and Ducati is like you know, performance. Aprilia was literally already quite big in the 80s. It was all Aprilia bikes. It was the enduro bikes that now they call them adventure, like mid adventures. They had a lot of enduro bikes, especially in the 80s. They were very in vogue, how you say it. And also they had a lot of little 125 racing bike. There was the Aprilia, the RS, like you said, the 125s and the 250s. Then they had the Aprilia Futura. They had the AF1 Aprilia. So there was so many of those bikes in those days, and it was like the bike to have, when you were a teenager.
For sure.
It was amazing looking. And
de-restricting my bike and going to some shady dude who literally de-restricted it to give it an extra 50.
All of us went through that stage.
Yeah, literally. And it's like no questions asked. Don't tell anyone. Exactly. You're not allowed to. Do you know what I mean? And the thing is, like, the police in our country were not really clued up. They would not know, even though you weren't allowed to de-restrict them, they wouldn't really know the difference. Do you know what I mean?
It was mainly the guys with the 125s that used to just play with the engines. Everyone.
Yeah.
I don't think there was one normal
exactly,
125 around. There was always like exhaust pipes and carburetors and restricting, cutting pieces off the exhaust.
Shortening it.
Shortening it. Yeah. It was just, it was amazing times of our lives, those. And they're all 2-stroke, so you had to carry your little bottle around of oil. Sometimes you couldn't find the petrol station with the mixer. No, it was amazing in those days. So Aprilia has always been an icon in racing, and they're one of the most successful brands in MotoGP racing. Now they call them MotoGP, but a lot of people mistaken it. Before it was called, there was GP125, GP250, GP500s. Now it's MotoGP, is like the whole Moto3, Moto2, MotoGP. So Aprilia is the most successful brand when it came to 125 and 250. They literally dominated the GP world in those days. It was and all the big riders some of them are still around now, like Valentino's retired and all that, but they all came from 125 Aprilia and won 125 world championships, 250s. It was the bike to beat. They were the first ones that actually developed a lot of aerodynamics in the 90s with motorcycle, and then later on when it did become MotoGP, they changed from 2-stroke. They all went to 4-stroke, and the Aprilia had an RS Cube, it was called. It was a crazy bike. It was super powerful. It had a 3-cylinder Cosworth engine in it with pneumatic valves, and that derived from Formula One. The thing is that the bike on the straight was a missile, but it was hard to turn it because the chassis, they were very complicated bikes when they first came out. So I didn't have a massive success at the beginning, but it was quite an evolution, and it was very streamlined and that in the aerodynamics. And then together with Ducati, Aprilia nowadays are the ones that experiment more aerodynamics. You have to, because of all the powers that they have now. So Aprilia, for me, for us, was like the bike to have when we were teenagers. And
it's nostalgia.
It is definitely. But they still make smaller bikes now. It's just that they're all mainly 4-strokes. However, it's one of the most common bikes you find in Italy when it comes to 125s, 50 cc's and up. And Aprilia, compared to Ducati and MV Agusta, in the 80s, they used to have a proper off-road bike, a motocross bike, and they actually won a world title in 125s in 1986, if I'm not mistaken. So Aprilia is a fantastic brand, and now they're part of the Piaggio group. So Piaggio owns Vespa, Moto Guzzi, and Aprilia. So it's literally classic scooters, icon scooters, and SuperBikes. So you cannot go wrong. And I worked for all the 3 brands, and I'm very happy with Aprilia. They're amazing bikes, and also the price is fantastic. So
very
amazing,
well priced.
amazing.
I was noticing there. I mean, I'm still gonna haggle the shit out of it, but very
No
well
problem.
priced. I realized. Let's talk about that monster that was in there, bro. I remember you turned
that
it
was
on. You literally had to warn people that you're turning it on first before you turned it on. You're telling the wife, you're just like, hey babe, I don't want to jiggle the baby too much. I'm telling you now.
That's a secret, when you have clients that are interested in or love the bike world, you always have to start a bike, like a proper bike. When I say proper bike, they're all proper bikes, but the McCoy of the bikes, that's the truth. I mean, it was a Tono RS, Tono X, literally. It's a 2021 motorcycle. It's a limited edition. It's all made out of carbon fiber, and it's got a SuperBike spec engine. So it's made from the factory. It's got 221 brake horsepower, and it weighs 158 kilograms. It's an amazing machine. It's actually very special because there are a lot of limited edition bikes in the bike world, in the SuperBike world, but it's one of its kind only because it's a naked bike. When we say naked bike, it's literally you recognize a naked bike from a SuperBike because they have straight handlebars. So it's a bike that you normally buy to ride around the city. Nowadays you get so many choices. You don't have to just get a SuperBike. You can get a SuperBike with the upright handlebars, and you can just have fun around the city. You don't have to like lean down or under the fairing. So this is the ultimate naked bike, and they only made 30 in the world. At the moment, there's no other bike that has made a limited edition like Aprilia with the Tono X. Amazing machine. It's got everything. It's got the whole suspension system, all electronic. So every time you change a mode, the actual suspension adjusts itself.
Yeah, even the brakes.
The brakes are amazing. The GP4s, those are the brakes that you get in Superbike. So all the components are like top of the range, and some of them are actually only found, like the swing arm was the swing arm of the Superbike that was currently racing a couple of years before. So it's a fully Superbike swing arm. You cannot really get it from other bikes that are getting sold from the shop. So it's number 7 out of 30, and it's the only one in the Middle East. Literally, it's when you started, it's got a full Akrapovic titanium exhaust. So when you started, it's some nice symphony there.
Yeah, and the smell as well.
Amazing, and the
smell
of
great.
it. It's just
why are they not putting that on the track? I mean, why are they not? Why don't they have a Superbike to the top level?
Yeah. Well, they do have a Superbike that's a top level. They actually they made an RSV4X. So that's the Superbike. So, but they also made the Tono X. Everyone makes like Superbikes for the track, but they also made a naked bike for the track, an Extreme. X is for Extreme. Now, this year, we should be receiving it, I'm sure, around July. The X30, that's the RSV4 X30 that they made this year after the last RSV4X. Now it's a little bit more extreme. It's got 230 plus horsepower.
Is that all?
And it's nothing. Yeah. And so they do make bikes that are just for the track, and they're limited, because I mean, a bike like that, yes, it's limited. There's some people that are bike and Superbike collectors, but I cannot see a bike of that caliber
just be put in someone's garage or something.
No, you have to ride it.
Don't you want to kind of like, because you're kind of involved there, don't you want to go, hey guys, come on, please let me just sponsor me and let me ride it?
I've been crying every day.
Right?
For sure.
Are we anywhere near to that kind of being a reality?
Well, yes and no. Well, the X is going to be very hard to convince the owner to.
Are you exclusive to Ducati?
What do you mean? Sorry.
Riding?
No.
So you're not, okay.
No. I was riding. I actually raced Ducati in the championship because I only moved to Aprilia in September last year, and I was sponsored. I had my sponsors, and at the time I was racing a Ducati V2, so I had to finish the championship. Ideally, this year I would like to race an RS660. The RS660 though is a little bit under power compared to the other bikes that are racing in the categories here in UAE. We're racing the new generation Super Sports, and the new generation Super Sports are normally 600 4-cylinders, and there's a big difference between a 4-cylinder 600 and a 660 twin cylinder. So the RS660 has 105 horsepower, the track one. However, it's a fantastic little bike, and it's the most popular bike here, because if you want to buy a bike, that's a little, I call them little super bikes, although they're the bikes that do 240, 250 anyway, but they're smaller, obviously they're the thousands. But I say that's a perfect bike because it's the right price, and as it is, obviously take the mirrors off, take the number plate off, and off you go on the track, and you have the best fun ever. So we are trying to get, I'm in contact with the guys in Italy at the factory to try and see if they can do a special RS660, because as it comes for the Trofeo, it has 105 horsepower, and it would compete against bikes that have 130 plus horsepower. So it's going to be a bit hard to race with that bike in some of the configurations of the tracks. However, we're trying, and let's see what happens before the end of the year, before we start the season. What we can get out of it.
Just find out when they're going to do the first drug test, dog. I got a guy. I got
yeah.
a guy who can stop it before a week before. There'll be nothing in your blood, bro.
No, you're always welcome.
Yeah,
I mean, I always try and get people. If you buy those kind of bikes, in Dubai we're quite lucky. We have a beautiful track, the Dubai Autodrome. It's in the city, so you literally
it doesn't take that long to get there either, and
not at all. And you got 6 configurations of tracks. So I always try and push the guys that buy the bikes, the youngsters and the non-youngsters, to when they buy super bikes, come to the track, come.
Because you're teaching now as well, right?
I'm teaching, I'm coaching. I got an FIM license, and I can coach anyone. So I do a lot of coaching actually on the track, and we have 6 different configurations of tracks. For coaching, we use the smaller ones because it's easy and a lot of little corners. So I always try and push the guys that if you buy that kind of motorcycle, come to the track, you'll have so much fun because it's a safe place where you can go crazy with your bike. You got full leathers on, you got full safety packs on the bikes. That's where you actually should be with those kind of bikes, not on the roads being crazy. However, we've all gone through that. But that's why I say we lucky in Dubai, because we have a track, it's like 10 Ks away from here. We can go have some fun, and everyone that buys that kind of bike should try it once. It's really fun. It's a lot of fun.
How do you stop people from getting overexcited, especially these people who come to the track with their new bike and they think that they're a lot better riders than they actually are? Because even me, like I used to ride really well, and I haven't ridden in quite a while, but I would want to try and pin those corners while I'm going. Sure. And I think I would need someone like you to go, mate, calm down. Relax. Do it properly. Learn it properly. Do it slowly. Do you know what I mean? Before. So how do you, and especially as us Arabs, and I'm going to say it, we throw caution to the wind a lot. Like we ask questions later. So I'm sure you have a couple of locals that are just like going, like pushing way beyond their skill level. And you don't want to see people get hurt, right, as well. So you're like, how do you deal with that?
Yeah, look, there are quite a few people that do that, especially when we have these track days, just the public track days. So there will be three groups. It's normally novice, intermediate, advanced. Advanced, you can only go there if you have raced before, or if the actual coach that was coaching you can tell you can go up because you got enough speed. The beginners and the intermediate are the worst. Because the beginners are that kind that are very cautious and they like take it easy. They're the ones that want to overdo it. Okay, and then the intermediate is just a mix up of both. So what we do is, when we have the public track days, we normally have 2 coaches per group, and we keep one guy in the front, one guy in the back. We do some sighting laps, and then obviously we can't keep the guys there because we're not specifically coaching one-on-one. So we just let people go, but we keep an eye on everyone to make sure that if guys do some mistakes and that, they get pulled over.
Also, it's the danger for the other people as well. It's not just them.
Of course. And but the best way is to come to the track day to get coached in the schools and the academies, however you want to call them. We have those here, and they're growing more and more every year. So what we do, how I keep them calm, is we get them there. You sit down, you arrive there. They arrive with the bikes. They see all the bikes there, track open. They're like, when are we going? Where are we going? I let them sit down into the room and just chill out, have a coffee, have a talk. Go through the track, show them what the track is all about and everything, on the actual blackboard. And then after that, I just tell them, listen, follow me. That's it. So I will be leading the group. If I see anyone coming past me, I'll throw you out the track. That's it. As simple as that. Then obviously you notice straight away if a guy is, better than the other, and you start like adapting your speed to the person that you're coaching, obviously. And obviously then you'll have to divide the people depending on but you always try and keep them calm, as in, as soon as you see the guy's confident, then you pull back to the pits and you say, okay, great job, everything. And you actually have to lecture them through everything. And I can tell you that most of the times that I've had the coaching, mainly 99% of the times, I never had issues with guys going over that. If I see that someone thinks he knows everything straight away, I just tell him, okay, you know everything. Next time you come without a coach, let's see what you can do. So you do have to be really careful though, because you have to be able to, like calm the guy, make him understand that you can get and touch your knee after 3 corners if you're phenomenon. And it might take you 1 track day, 2 track days, 3 track days, or 10. So you just try and keep them calm and let them enjoy themselves, obviously, by not backing up too much. But you have to make sure that you as a coach understands the actual guy you're coaching properly. I mean, that you're coaching, and take him through the whole procedure step by step. But once you get it, it's just something else. The adrenaline. The worst part is the next day when you like after the track,
the real life, right? Because
you like you don't have those like flows of adrenaline, and so you get a bit down. But that's when you you'll think about the next one. So it's the track is definitely a place to go and learn, and that and you're I normally I'm quite strict when it comes to coaching on the track, because I've seen a lot of incidents here and there and through the years. So if you wanna keep it fun, you have to just behave. That's literally what you have to do.
Yeah,
you
for
know?
sure.
Yeah.
I definitely want to try it out. But my problem is that I need to go backwards on the track because
Yeah.
the right side's my comfort side. So I don't know how long it will take me to pin a corner on the left side. I just feel more comfortable going right.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
Yeah, you know what? It's everyone has a preferred, like corner. Like for me, I prefer corners on the left.
Really?
But when we ride when you do ride on the autodrome that has more right-hand corners, if you get the position right on the bike, you'll eventually get better on the other side.
Yeah.
Because you'll always feel more comfortable on one side than the other. Everyone has that. Everyone.
Yeah.
But 99% of the riders will always prefer either left corners or right corners. So don't worry, we'll work on that. We'll work on that. Yeah.
What's the biggest misconception in motorcycle racing, in your opinion?
Well, in motorcycle racing, that everyone, when you tell them that you're going to race in that, they always think that you're going to go and get hurt. So that's I can tell you that for me, obviously when you're racing professionally, you are going flat out all the time, so you are taking some risks, but you're taking risks being a professional, so that's different. So for me, there's so many more hazardous things on the road. I mean, people don't ever think about it.
Dubai drivers.
That's one of them for sure. But it's also any obstacle on the road, any curb, any pothole. We don't get those here, but any sort of
any one of those
oil
big
spill,
trucks that the tire
diesel,
bursts.
yes, tire burst. Any of that is a danger. Here we have a lot of sand sometimes on the roads, and if you go out the line, the trajectory,
Slip.
however you call it, you can slide. So you got to be so careful, man. On the road, when you ride a bike, it's way more dangerous than going on the track with these big superbikes. Then obviously for the road, if you have a Vespa or if you have a scooter or if you have a smaller bike, it's so much easier because, the speeds are not crazy. However, you still have to be careful. So ideally, I'm not saying you mustn't go on the road. That's, I use a Vespa every day to go to work and back, and a smaller bike. So I enjoy it. I always say to everyone, if you want to go to work with a smile, buy yourself a Vespa.
Yeah, that's it, right?
Or a bike.
There's nothing like a Vespa. We were even talking about how they've changed now because it's literally, again, like the Dyson mechanics of the moped world. Because I remember the first Vespa I had with that giant brake sticking out on the foot, and you had the 3 clicks for the gears and everything. Now it's just literally just plug and go, right?
Yeah. It's just literally now you have front brake on the right-hand side like a bicycle. Front brake on the right, back brake on the left, and an accelerator. That's it.
Yeah.
You have traction control and ABS.
Traction control on the Vespa.
It's crazy.
Who would have thought that you would ever have traction control on a Vespa?
Yeah. Because if you look at how technology has evolved, they actually got so much power when they accelerate. I was blown away when I tried the new Vespa 300. You're literally doing 0 to 100 in like 6 seconds. It's crazy. So it's actually a good thing. Because when you're riding through the traffic, especially here in Dubai, you have high average speeds. When you do accelerate, if you like in the front of in front of everyone, normally you are when you have a little scooter, you just wiggle your way through. When you accelerate, you can actually get away from the cars, and that's the best thing to do when you do ride a bike on the road. I'm not saying you must speed. That's not. You must stay within the limits, but you must get out first and go. Take your own way and go, because if you hover behind cars, sometimes these guys
But also here, they're not the same as Europe. I find so we know there's this. If you're a biker, there's a side you don't undertake on.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So, but here I see bikers just going like that, and I'm just like, mate, there's blind spots, and on top of the blind spots, there's ignorant drivers who have no idea about the roads.
Definitely.
So I find in this country a bit more so, where when people say it's not you, it's the others, even though they can't catch me. Like they're not going to catch me slipping because, like we said before, I literally see, it's like the Matrix in front of me. I see like 15 cars ahead, and I know when some idiot is. I can tell when he turned left that he wants to be in the far right lane and he's coming back. Do you know what I mean? You can just tell by the way the car moves or by the way the thing, and that comes from experience and years of riding and stuff.
Yes.
One thing I wanted to talk about is when you said zone earlier, and I think it's incredible when a human being is on the top level of any sport, how they have literally out of body experiences while they're doing it. And I mean, the focus, and there is something I can't remember the name of it, a certain zone tunnel vision that you go into that literally nothing's. I remember, when you do something so much,
Yeah.
You're not thinking about it, which is why I understand why you're not worried about turns and riding in your thing. I remember one time I was driving my car, not speeding or anything, but just driving normally. And I wasn't on my phone. I'll say that now. I left where I was going. I looked up and I was home. And it was like a 15-20 minute drive. So I was just doing it all on autopilot without even thinking.
Yes.
And doing it safely.
Yeah.
Speeding up and slowing down when I needed to, indicating. But I didn't remember a second of the drive. Like if you asked me what cars I saw on the way, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that the human mind can do that and still keep you safe because it just knows you've done this that many times.
Yes.
Right?
It happens to me often when I ride home. It happens to me often. Yeah. You, like you were saying, when you are riding often and you're used to that sort of feeling, you will always predict things quicker than anyone else on the car, unless you're a car driver and at high professional level, because first of all, you don't have a cell phone. That's a big problem on the roads. And second of all, you are super concentrated because you have to. On the bike, the most important thing is where you look is exactly where you're going to end up. So if you get distracted 1 second, you might be off the road. So it's that zone. You isolate yourself and you have, I always, it's true, that little ride to work every day, because you're on your own world and you're on, the engine noise and the wind and everything. It just makes it so much more exciting to get to work. And like you said, you get into your little zone and you just, off you go. You don't have to really worry about a lot of other things that surround you. It's something that it's not easy to describe, the feeling.
It's weird, huh?
Yeah,
and because the funny thing about it is that it's not like you're doing the same journey and it's the same cars around you every day. It's not like it's a Groundhog Day thing where it's where every element is exactly the same. All the cars around you are different. And everyone else is doing different things at different speeds every time you do it. But your spatial awareness, I think with bikes as well, it's different. Like you feel that. Like I feel, and I don't know whether it's to do with biking or just to do with I understand the level of dickheadism in other cars around me.
Don't tell me about that.
But I literally, when a car's coming, I kind of feel this heat around me. It's like, it's weird. And I know when we're saying that now, people are going, oh yeah, you're so spiritual. You feel the heat of another. No, but
it's true.
I can feel that my circle is something's pushing a bit closer to it.
It's like having like you said, these people might think we like psychics or that. It's like having
spidey sense, right?
No, but you tend to have, because you are so zoned out in your concentration, you get these feelings around you. You always like, it happens. It happens to a lot of motorcycle riders. When you're so concentrated, you can feel things that like you wouldn't feel if you're driving a car.
It's crazy.
It's different.
I've been in a situation before, I swear on my kids, people will think I'm lying, where we were driving and I started pulling back and my mate was like, what you doing? And I was like, watch. And literally this car went around another car and then tried to cut in front, undertake it, cut in front into it to the fast lane and literally crashed into another car. And like, I knew that was going to, I sensed it. Like literally my spidey sense just went, dickhead. And it just went past me. It just went past me and I knew it was going to happen. And it's like that kind of thing I think that you get from riding and stuff.
It's true. You get all these different feelings and you can predict way earlier because of your concentration. I mean, for me also, I when you race at a certain level, when you're actually racing, when you're racing and you are so concentrated, you cannot afford to not concentrate because you'll go off the track straight away. I mean, you only realize once you start racing, the first lap's okay, so and so, but once you get to the 5th or 6th or 7th lap, you're going so fast, but you don't feel it. You don't feel it because you get so used to that. You're concentrating so much that it's actually bigger than what the actual speed of the bike is. You are so focused, and you can predict things that happened before. And it's not like you said, it's not like people think we like extraterrestrials, but it's only because, it's all about the concentration, the feel you have on the motorcycle. It's just great.
I need to introduce you to a friend of mine. He has a company called Velocity.
Yes.
It's in America. I don't know if you've heard of them, but they've worked with the biggest boxers in the world, basketball teams and that. So they specifically guarantee that your reflexes will get better within 3 sessions. like miles better. And everything they do is data driven. They can literally show you the data and show you the trajectory of your reflexes, when they'll get slower or whatever, and how low you get. I'll introduce you to him. You do some work with him. He does a lot of work with light pads and that stuff. And all the data is just stored, and they send you back literally PDFs with all of your stuff saying, okay, your left side is 3 seconds slower than your right. And, and then they show you after, okay, now they match. Do you know what I mean?
Amazing. I'd love to do that.
And I think that will be really cool. Free plug there, Ali. That would be really cool for you, for your races, even to have it other people to come and do that kind of stuff.
I'd love to try it out.
They're amazing. Like some of the results that they've had, and they're the only company in the world that can guarantee the results.
Yeah,
fantastic. We have to do that.
Definitely.
Would you let your children drive professionally? And I say that because I want to introduce the fact that your wife is a champion.
Yes.
So how did that happen? And is it inevitable that little Neo is going to see the Matrix and race?
Look, I will. You know, I'm one of those. I've observed a lot of my friends when we were growing up, and a lot of my friends had their fathers, following them and all that kind of stuff. But I've realized that I will introduce him to the bike world, of course. But I will never ever force him to do. I'll just let him be. I'll let him be and just see how he goes. You know, because you can literally. I mean, with kids, you can see straight away if they're good or not, if they enjoy it or not. Then they might have moments through and go back to it later. However, yes, of course, I would let him try the bikes. You know, in the safe place like tracks. For sure, and and then if he wants to ride on the road later on, I mean, I cannot stop him from doing that. But yes, I would definitely do that. And my wife, it was actually quite a coincidence. But when I first met her, I didn't know she was a racer either.
Really?
No, I didn't.
I thought you met her at track once.
No, I didn't. I actually met her at the showroom where I was working some years back, and. When I met her, she just came in to buy some apparel for bikes. So I guessed that she had a bike, and she told me, yes, I have a bike here and there, and I just pulled out all my selling skills, and I love doing that because I have so much of a passion for bikes that. I love seeing people enjoying what I went through when I was younger.
So annoying because when I went in there, I was literally like, I see everything that you're doing now, but because you're right, I'm going to go with you all the way. But I could see that it is that passion that, when somebody just, they're not trying to sell. They're just through their passion showing you how much you need to buy.
Course,
like, you know what I mean?
I just enjoy it because, like you said, it's not about the selling part because that comes, later. But if it comes, otherwise, I remember when I was young looking at these bikes and like being so astonished about what was going on. And when I do that, I do it because I'm joyful when I see people enjoying the same passion.
Because you're passionate. It's like, when people like Christians and stuff, they're like, let me tell you about Jesus Christ. You're like, you want to tell them about the bike, right? It's just like your religion. It's like you want to really kind of like, you don't understand why they haven't been freed yet. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. And when I met my wife, so I knew she loved bikes, because she said, I have a bike. And I asked her what bike you have. And she told me what bike she had. So I said, come, I'll show you something special because I don't think that there was any other dealership at the time that had the bike that we had there as a demo bike. And that was a Panigale V4R. And that was it was the first Panigales that were coming out in those days. So I literally, got it. I brought it there and I was explaining about the bike. And then I did the same trick as I did with you. I just start the bike. I said, sorry guys, just 1 second, please. I'm just going to start this bike. And the bike has got, with a full Akrapovic system. It was just like, oh my God, what is this? So anyway, she
turned the bike on and it was like, oh my love, my darling. You're both sitting there just like ghosts, just like stroking the handlebars.
You're right. It was obviously it was a game changer for a lot of people when they see that kind of bike. So I took her through the whole showroom, and then I promised. I said I didn't even take her number. I just gave her my card. I said, look, if you need anything, call me back and whatever.
Very smart.
And then and that was it. And that was before COVID. And then it disappeared, So before she actually left the showroom, I have to say this because, I've told her many times, and it's true. This is something quite cool. So I said to my colleagues at the time, there was a guy and a lady there, and I said to them, guys, one day this woman will be my girlfriend or my wife, but I was inside, I felt, I don't know, I just felt something, and 4 years down the line, and she's my wife. And she she comes from Madagascar. So she raced I would never let my kid do that for sure, until he's mature enough to actually decide for himself. But she raced she did road racing.
Wow.
So they close off a section of the road,
Literally
more like the
Fast
Isle of
and the
Man.
Furious.
Yeah, exactly. But they only do these kind of races because they don't have a track there. However, she did win for 2 years in a row a championship, and but she's very careful, I must say. I took her to the track the first time because she's been on smaller tracks, go-kart tracks and that with a big bike, but it doesn't really work. However, I took her to the Autodrome when she came to Dubai, and I was so impressed. I thought, she's going to fly here, because if she rides on the road like she does, then, she's going to fly. And it was actually the opposite. She was so careful, and I was so happy about that, because that's how you should approach,
Peace of mind,
peace of mind, because that's how you should approach the track. So yeah, that was the story, literally.
That's crazy. I totally agree with you on that whole kid thing, because parents can ruin everything.
Yeah.
And they can ruin something that could be so beautiful just by pushing it. Like even something little like today. So my kids do jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
They're 5 years old, twins. The last 2 days they were like, we need to take a break. Well, we don't want to go to jiu-jitsu. And then my mind was like, you better go in there and choke some kids out. Like, do you know what I mean? But then the kind part of me went, you know what? Don't make them hate it. Don't make them think that they have to go, even though they don't feel like going to it. And sometimes we don't feel like going to the gym. We don't feel like riding or doing that thing that day. So I think it's really important that you kind of listen to those kind of things.
Yes.
Like I'm not going to let it go too long, because I also want to teach start what you finish.
Yes, definitely.
So it's not going to be like 4 weeks later and they're like, can we not do today too? And I'm like, nah, mate. You're going now, or I'm going to choke you. That's one or the other. Choke someone else, or you're getting choked, kind of thing. But like, I think it's really important, because you get those people that just resent their parents because they were so hard on them trying to live their dreams. Yeah. Like you could very easily go, I started late. I could have been champion. I'm not going to make that mistake with him. Yeah. So I'm going to get him on a bike at 5 years old, blah, blah, blah. Do you know what I mean? Yes. And that could literally, he could reach 15 and hate it.
Hate it, yes.
You know what I mean? It happens with boxers. Like Prince Nazim. I don't know if you know who Prince Nazim Hamid was, but he's a boxer that started when he was, 5, 6, 7 years old, was champion by his early 20s, and then he just stopped. He was just like, I just need a break. I've just had enough. I've been doing. People don't realize you've been doing it your whole life. Exactly. Like all these champions that we see in the world in all sports, they didn't just start doing it 2 years ago. No, they've been doing it for 40 years or 30 years or 20 years. And when they retire and everyone's upset, they just see the face value of, oh, I'm not going to see you fight anymore. But they don't see the every single day of training 3 times a day, non-stop for 15 years. Do you know what I mean? So we got to be very careful.
All the dedication kind of and all the efforts in it. Yeah, it's true. I completely agree with you. You should never push them. Let them try it, obviously, yes, because I started late. And I always say to my parents, I don't blame them, but, we joke around. I always say, because now they're always complimenting me. And I'm like, they say, oh, my God, if we would have listened to you, you could have probably been somewhere else now. And it's true, yes. But, that's how it went. So I'm happy with it as it is. However, I will definitely introduce him to the sport and see how it goes, But I don't think you should ever push them like you see other parents do. Exactly like what you said, Exactly. Yeah. You just let them be and let them enjoy what they decide to do in the future,
What's the biggest lesson you've learned from racing? Whether it be in something that's bled onto your life outside of racing or inside racing?
Well, I've just the biggest lesson is do not try and do something that you cannot, because that's mainly for biking in general. I've seen a lot of my friends go up there, because of testosterone and I want to be, so that's one of the biggest lessons, because I've ridden a lot on the road as well, and I think you should just keep your feet on the ground and not try and overdo something that you get all excited about it, and then you regret it forever, if you can regret it, because you won't even be there. So that's the thing. And then also another thing is that, when you start racing, or when you all if you do look at starting to race, I've learned that, I used to say this to myself all the time, I will maybe not be the first, but I won't be the last either, and as long as you enjoy what you do, you will always have fun in life. If you stop enjoying your passion, then just go and do something else. So yeah, that's what I'd say. I wouldn't say it's the biggest lesson, but that's what I've learned from my racing career. And also after recovering from many accidents, like on mainly on motocross bikes, I've learned that you go through pains and that, but as soon as you get better, you must try it again. If you still have the passion, you mustn't just give it up because something happened, because incidents happen everywhere, but if you have a passion, just carry on with it and enjoy it mainly. That's the main thing.
The human body is incredible like that as well, right? Where literally the pain that you go through 2 days later, you don't even remember it. Like, you can remember it, but you cannot remember the feeling of pain.
You remember the sound.
The nerves are not they just kind of forget, which I think is crazy. Like, people literally lose limbs, and 2 weeks later they're fine. They haven't got a limb. They got to change everything that they do, but it's like, when they say pain is temporary, it literally just is.
It is.
If you can get over that first. Mental pain and stress, that's the stuff that will stay with you for years. Do you know what I mean? If you don't get to it at the right time, that's the kind of stuff that will ruin your life. But physical pain is just...
it's a feeling that goes away after a while. It's there for a bit, and when you get better, you just want to go back. I was always like that. I'd like, oh no, stop doing this. A lot of people, stop doing that. Stop doing it. You was breaking ribs. But the feeling was so good, and the passion was so much that I just kept on going. That's why I haven't stopped racing yet, because I still enjoy it. If I didn't enjoy it, I would stop. For sure I would. Why carry on something if you don't enjoy it? So that's the pain is something, like you said, it just goes away after a while.
Talk to me about your injuries. What's the worst thing that you've done? How many things have you broken?
Look,
this is because he races at a level that's different. It's not going to happen to you if you go and get an Aprilia, okay?
Well, I'm lucky enough, touch wood, if there is, or we say in Italy, iron. So I've never had crazy incidents. I've had quite a lot of injuries though. I've cracked my ribs many times, front and rear, 8 at a time sometimes.
8 ribs.
Smashed my kneecaps, and a broken ankle and scaphoids, arms, collarbones. My first big accident was the one that I literally, I got hurt emotionally the most, because I was young. I was it happened in Botswana when I raced an endurance race. Endurance race, enduro race in the Kalahari Desert. One of my biggest races when I was a teenager, with a 125 bike. I fell off on the second lap. We're doing 5 loops of 68 kilometers, and I fell off and I broke both my wrists, my collarbone, and I tore all the ligaments on my neck, and I was literally a teenager. So for me, that was the biggest scary moment of my life, because I didn't even know what a collarbone was at the time. And when I got up and I felt that with my broken hand, that there was a bone sticking out of my skin, I thought I'd broken my neck.
Wow.
So I was like, I just passed out, and I was like, so that was, I'd say, the one that scared me the most. But I had an injury on my vertebra. I squashed 2 vertebrae together. I won't tell you how it happened, because it didn't happen on the bike. It happened after the bike race, because I fell off a podium and I cracked it.
All of that.
No, I've got a lot of people that know me. They will laugh at me now, because I injured myself. It's crazy. I injured myself at the beginning of my career, always falling off the bike, because I didn't know how to ride a bike like the others. But in the last 10 years, all the injuries that I've had them off the bike.
No way.
When I've just finished the race, once on the podium, once at a prize giving, I had a stage that collapsed under my legs, and I just literally broke my ligaments here and cut my whole leg open. It's been crazy, but yeah, the biggest, I haven't had massive injuries, but I've broken literally a lot of bones on my body, and I know what the feeling is like.
Yeah. Ribs are the worst, right?
Ribs are
the worst. You can't do anything
yeah,
to them.
Yeah,
you just have to let them heal.
Yes.
And they're covering the lung, right? So you
Yes.
get that when you breathe, your lung expands, and then it just tickles the broken ribs. And
if you need to sneeze, you just
that's
lay
the
down
worst.
and get ready for
just
it.
fart, bro. Block all the holes. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's funny. Yeah, the ribs are they're very painful. Although there's some other parts of the body that are more painful, but the ribs are just the most annoying.
They take so long.
Yeah,
to
because
heal,
they take so long, and you cannot do
yeah.
anything to them.
Yeah.
You know, you just have to bear the
And
pain.
if these are painful, you take some,
exactly,
painkillers, and
exactly.
then in a week,
Yes,
it'll be bearable.
Yes. So yeah, the ribs are the ones, and when you break a rib once, you'll always know when another rib's broken, because you'll just know that feeling doesn't go away for about a month. So yeah, that's the more painful ones. Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, I got a fun question for you.
Sure.
Financial freedom.
Yes.
Money isn't an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Top 3 bikes you would have.
Yeah.
4th one.
Yeah.
You can design with parts from any other bike.
Okay.
And you wouldn't get any issues from Ducati saying you can't use our tires or I mean our suspension.
Okay.
So they could be vintage, they could be new, they could be whatever. Top 3 of all time till now. Whether you keep them in your garage as souvenirs or whether you race them, whatever, that's down to you. I don't want to hear. Okay, you only got 3.
Yeah. I will obviously. I won't just have one make brand. I will just choose 3 Italian bikes, because those are the ones that I love the most. However, there's a lot of other bikes, but I'll just.
You got 3, mate.
So
and no money is no issue.
Yeah. So okay, the
full spec.
Yeah, the first bike that I would definitely have to keep in my garage would be a 998R Ducati. The second color red, obviously.
Okay.
The second one would be, I won't go for the 500 because it's too much, but I'll definitely have an RS250 GP bike though.
Okay.
Aprilia.
Okay.
And the third one would definitely be an MV Agusta F4, the first 1000. It's called the F312. It's the first 1000 MV Agusta bike, MV Agusta 312. The first bike that went over 300, and
nice.
It was approved. So those are the 3 that I would have in my garage for sure. And I want to tell you all the off-road bikes, because I love off-road bikes as well. And obviously another bike that I would probably make a naked Superleggera.
Okay.
A naked Superleggera Ducati. So Superleggera Ducati is...
but you'd keep it. You wouldn't bring any other parts from any other bikes?
It's such a good bike that...
so you're like, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Already
Let me go for another bike. I would definitely put in... I love... I'm not a crazy guy about Harley Davidson. I like some of them, but I'm not crazy about those kind of bikes. But I've always... If I had to have something very original in my garage, I would want a flat track, either Indian or Harley Davidson, a flat track one. They're really, really cool bikes. I've never ridden one, and I would definitely love to have one of those.
Sure, you can find.
But I would put a different engine in it.
Which engine?
Yeah, maybe a 502 stroke engine.
Nice.
A 502 stroke engine on a flat track bike. Yeah, that would be
a noisy bike.
That would be a noisy bike, but a very cool bike to ride. Yeah.
Mate, have you seen the Harley community here? They're quite big, man.
They're huge. They're huge.
I
know a lot of the guys. I know a lot of the guys, and I've never seen a flat track bike, because I think they only race those bikes. I saw a beautiful Indian flat track. They make it that you can actually go and buy one. It's homologated for a road, but I haven't seen a Harley, and I think they're awesome. They're awesome. Like just
I like them, but I couldn't pick. This whole thing is just not.
Yeah. But the flat track one is, it's like a motard, but lowered down, with like a bad engine on it, and with you just slide it, sort of speedway sort of thing. That's why I like those kind of bikes. Yeah.
Isn't it crazy? Just like the community. So imagine the Harley community, and I find this fascinating in the world when people live in bubbles, right? So you live in a motorcycle bubble. Everything in your life is motorcycling.
Yeah.
You know what you watch, who you know, all that stuff. And there's some people who are just into MMA, and that's just the bubble they live in.
Yeah.
I find it fascinating how these bubbles can go so far across the globe. Like, to think, if someone told you in the 80s there'd be 15,000 Arab guys, local guys from Dubai, riding around on Harleys, dressed, not just like buying Harleys and wearing normal, dressed in full Harley gear, having their own click names with their jackets and their symbols and all that stuff. It's incredible.
It is incredible. It is incredible. No, I think the community, the Harley Davidson community here is amazing. And, you know, I love it when I see all these kind of things, because you got to, you know, it's, everyone has they like you said, you know, you can buy any sort of, or you can be in any sort of sport. And it's so nice when you actually see all these different countries getting into something that you would have never thought or could imagine them being in it, you know. So it's quite fascinating. And the Harley Davidson community has very, very big. And, you know, I was in contact with some of them because the group I was working before had Harley Davidson in their company. So yeah, it's amazing, and it keeps on growing. The motorcycle industry here in UAE, it's growing, although people don't see many motorbikes around.Hy? Because it's people use them for leisure, not for commuting like we do in Europe. You know?
That's why I was so surprised when I saw the Aprilia that you had there. I was like, these are everywhere in the UK. Everyone is driving them. Any little hooligan who's trying to rob people has one for getaway. Do you know what I mean? They're everywhere. And I've never seen one here. And you told me they're everywhere, but I've never seen. I've seen the Cub 90s. I've seen the different kind of delivery bikes, but never a casual scooter.
It's true. But then the Vespas, we sell them literally every day.
But Vespas is different.
Vespa's more,
iconic,
you're right.
Vespas is iconic.
Yes.
Like, if somebody wants to show off and be like, oh, I'm not, you know, just Adam who doesn't know about fashion, they'll get a Vespa. But the mopeds themselves, the scooters.
The scooters,
You got to be kind of a guy who likes that kind of stuff to kind of get it. And I haven't. And I've looked since you told me as well. I still haven't seen one.
You don't really see even the bikes, to tell you the truth. You don't see many bikes on the road. I mean, you would expect with all the bikes that we've sold. And like I was saying, I've worked for 3 different brands in the UAE, and we have sold a lot of bikes. And there's so many people that own bikes in the UAE, but they only use them for leisure. And they, you know, it could solve a lot of the traffic problems in UAE. For sure. That for sure. Because I mean, if you just and you don't, you know, I see there's still some things to understand here in the UAE, and that is that the bike does not kill you. It's the people, people who ride them or the people around you that can kill you. You know, it's not the actual bike itself. So a lot of people are worried about riding every day to work and that, because they just you know, they just think it's something's going to happen, and it's not like that at the end of the day. They again, they have, otherwise I'm going off topic, but there are so many bikes in the UAE, but they're mostly used for leisure. And a lot of the guys, as soon as they feel a bit of heat, they let the bikes go. Okay, it's too hot now, we can't ride them. Yes, true in a way, but you can still ride the bike. You know, you can still go and do your little ride. At night or in the early morning, you can still ride. And you do find a lot of, I'm quite amazed of the amount of people that are actually taking long distance riding in UAE. There's a lot of them.
People, they go all the way to Hatta and everything.
Hatta and Fujairah, and no, there's a lot of people that are traveling around the UAE. So it's great. It's great. I love it. It's just that it would be nice to see more motorbikes around the cities also.
Well, look, give me an Aprilia, and then you'll see another one.
It's ready. It's ready.
Stop saying that,
it's
bro.
It's ready. I've got 3 of them ready.
I need to.
I hope your wife doesn't come and. I hope your wife doesn't come and close my shop.
I won't even tell her where it is, bro. Don't worry. I won't tell her where it is. Like, where you got it from? I was like, it was literally in my parking spot with a key on it and a note, like here, enjoy.
And there was a nice color. Huh?
Right.
It's your
the
color.
Right color.
It's your color.
She knows I'm getting one. It's just we're gonna have to figure it out. Here's a question. So Formula One, allow female drivers. There just hasn't been one in since I think the 60s or 70s. There was one woman who competed with the men. Yes. Are female drivers allowed to compete with the men in?
Of course they are, and we do currently have in the world MotoGP how do you say, caravan, they have in Moto3 there's a girl that races. I don't know if she's racing this year, but I think she raced last year. She did some wild cards. Wild cards are just when you come and race one race. And in UAE, there's been a few women riders. So, and they raced the game with us. And there's actually quite a few in the last 5 years. I've actually coached the one girl in particular that she did the Dakar. She's from Saudi.
Nice.
And she did the Dakar as well, and she's doing the Dakar this year again. So yeah, there are women racing. Just last year this year and last year there was no one, but in the previous years there were.
Do you think we'll ever see anyone in the top level GP, MotoGP?
At the moment, there are some really, really good women riders in the world, motocross level and GP level. It's just that at the top right now, I don't see anyone. But there is one girl. Is it
because it's a boys' club kind of thing, or is it?
Look, the boys don't like to get beaten by a woman. I've got beaten by a woman in Italy in the championship in an Italian cup. I'm talking about some years ago. There was a girl that was super fast. It was ridiculously fast. And, I respected them because, I have two sisters and that. So I couldn't. But it is annoying for a man. It is annoying. And, it's
such
like,
an Italian-blooded
man.
As opposed to it just being,
it is annoying.
This rider's really good. It's like, I'm not getting beaten by a girl.
Yeah, but... and here in the UAE, there is a girl that is, she was faster before, but I'm sure she's still fast now if she starts racing again. And, you got to respect it. I just think it's because also, I wouldn't say physically, otherwise all the women will just hate me. Physically, it's more demanding. But there are some women that are just as good as men in the sport. It's just that, sponsors and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes
it's an expensive thing.
It becomes expensive, and also, but I can tell you that in sports in general, in motorsport and that, there's a lot of women that are like coming up very nicely. Yes, especially in Europe, the ones I've been looking at. There's some really good one, and Anna Carrasco, I think her name is, the one that was in GP, and there was one top rider motocross. She was beating all the guys in the SuperBike 300s a couple of years ago, 2-3 years ago. Then she had a bad accident, but she was like literally leaving boys behind like half a lap, man. She was super, super good, and they are more and more coming up, and I'm happy. It should be. It's a good thing. Obviously the guys have a bit of an advantage. Being guys, we have a bit more. We have a bit more muscle mass on our body, so I think that also helps us to.
It helps with the weight of the bike as well.
Yeah, the weight of the bike. Yeah,
to control the weight of the bike.
Yes, to control the weight of the bike, because on the bike,
it's better to be lighter on the bike, but also you need the strength to kind of control it.
That's what I think helps a lot as well. So. But I think that in the future we might see a few of them that will definitely get closer and closer to the top guys. Yes, definitely in MotoGP riding. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. What does the future hold for your career now and the future of your
racing? I'm just going to be carrying on riding here in the UAE while I'm here, and carry on doing my UAE championship. And I've been invited to do a couple of races overseas in Malaysia, in Sepang, and in Australia, and then I'll probably go to Italy to do maybe a Italian Cup, if time permits and sponsors allowing. However, I'll just carry on riding and having fun and coaching. I have fun coaching also, and not just because I go super fast. I enjoy myself. I enjoy also coaching. So that's literally what I'm doing. And then I have a big project that's called Saska Totaro, and I won't tell you about it now, but later on you might see something in maybe a year or two.
Nice. We'll do another episode to promote that when it comes.
Yes, definitely. And so I'll just carry on doing coaching and riding and promoting the sport and carrying on like that. Yeah.
Amazing, dude. Before we leave, I want to ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
Why does Justin Bieber have a Vespa?
You terrible, eh? Really?
I know I put you in a position there because you also, as one of the brands.
Look,
but that bag ruined that Vespa for me.
Like a lot of other motorcycle brands, a lot of the in MotoGP, you see a lot of actors nowadays, Hollywood actors, going to the MotoGP because some of them like bikes.
John Wayne in the
cars, exactly. So Justin Bieber is just the Vespa is a funky scooter icon, like the Cinquecento of cars, So
and he's a funky human icon.
Yeah,
So they were
exactly.
Like, let's put the two
so
together.
I'm sure for the youth of now, they love singers, and so they made a Justin Bieber edition. We have it's a limited edition. It's a very, very cool Vespa, though. It's
very nice.
all
I
white
like the
with
white,
a
yeah.
retro look and a multi
Really nice bag as well.
spokes and everything, with a bag that's dedicated and everything. It's not for us, because we are like old school.
I would drive it with that bag if the bag was blank.
Yes.
Or if it said Vespa on it.
Yes,
but I can't drive it around with Justin Bieber Patrol.
I also don't want to be seen on something like that. Otherwise, I'll be ripped off for the rest of my life. Right? But yeah, they're very cool, and for the youngsters, I'm sure they will be very happy to ride one of those. So they made a limited edition Vespa with Justin Bieber written on it and some flames. He designed it literally. He designed the Vespa himself. Yeah, so it's quite cool. Yeah,
dude, I like that. Dude, it's been an absolute pleasure. I told you time flies when you're having fun. You wouldn't believe how long we've been on for now, even if I told you.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure, and thank you for giving me time.
No, for sure. We'll get you on again. I mean, I'll see you again when I come to get my free Aprilia.
You're welcome.
Stop saying that, bro. Stop saying that. I will camp outside.
I'm telling you, I'm going to bring one outside here soon.
But we'll go for a ride and we'll film it. It will be nice. Maybe we could do a vlog day on the trek with you coaching.
That'll be awesome. That'll be awesome. Yeah,
that'll be great. DK, before we go, I need 2 edits of this episode. I need one without all the crashes, all the injuries and everything, so I can show my wife and let her watch that one. And then I need one for the public that everyone else can watch. Don't ruin it for me, bro. You'll be riding the bike too, right? It'll be both of us, all right? Guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, put some comments on there. I've been AJ. He's been Saska. Boom.